Hey fellow heathens, it's Liz, and I'm here today to share with you some birthday hits and misses in tarot. So today's my birthday, and I got a few things in this month. A couple things was for today, but I just wanted to pop in and hopefully make it a quick video this time and show you some things that I'm excited about, some things that didn't work out so well, and just getting a sense of where I'm at with my tarot journey this month and in the next few months. So the Tarocco Studios Victorian Tarot I got in, and I'm gonna show you the Wandering Star Tarot deck by Kat Pierce, and oops, I bumped the camera, and the Witch's Wisdom Tarot by Phyllis Currat, and artwork by Danielle Barlow. This is still in its packaging and I haven't opened it yet. I've watched a few walkthroughs and I'm really excited to dive into it. It looks really, really powerful. And I got it specifically to pair with my Spacious Tarot. I'm looking at it from Dawn Michelle over at Boho Tarot, her walkthrough of it. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, that would look so awesome next to my Spacious Tarot. So we're gonna take a look at that. And I also am diving deep into Marseille as well. So I have the Jodorowsky deck, and I've been like messing around at the library because this is in the library, not in the library. Like somebody in my area must also be checking out Marseille because this book is like missing all the time. It's checked out. So, I mean, that's great, that's cool, but I'm not gonna wait for somebody to bring it back so that I can dive in. And I also have another book that I got last month that I'm really excited about. It's a really great resource, the Marseille Tarot Revealed. I don't have the CBD tarot and I'm thinking of getting it. It's not really one that I gravitate to visually. I kind of like the Jodorowsky Tarot a little bit more, but I also have a couple other Marseille decks that I'm gonna show you real quick in this video. But I'm thinking I might want to do like a comparison where I look at the imagery, I look at what's being said in this book, and I compare it to the changes that Jodorowsky made in his deck. So as I mentioned, we have the Victorian Tarot and the Wandering Star Tarot. These have absolutely nothing to do with one another, but since I got them in this month, I wanted to show you. So this deck I was super excited to get. And it comes in this, sturdier tuck box. And it has this like inside flap here that you like tuck on the top side there. And I have also the Revival Art Tarot first and second edition, and I have a full comparison walkthrough on my channel of those two decks. So this will be my third Tarocco Studios deck. And the other two were awesome. I have no complaints. The cardstock is amazing. But this one I did have some issues, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit. Here's the little white book. The first edition of the Revival Art Tarot had the entire little white book in all caps, which made it extremely difficult to read. But this one is really good. It's really small, but it's definitely better, and it's pretty basic. I don't see anything about where the artwork came from. I really enjoy doing that. I really like to kind of look at images online of where the original art came from, what it looked like before it was digitally enhanced, before adding all the wands and cups and all of that. But I'm not seeing that here, which is kind of a shame. What is tarot to you? No spreads or anything like that. So it's pretty basic, which is fine. It's really the artwork that I came to see, basically. So I'm gonna move that out of the way for now. We'll keep that off on the side. So I have to say, this is a bit of a miss for me. And we're gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see. Right off the bat, you can see it's a little bit perceptible that the centering of the border is a bit off. And once that happens in the Fool, you can almost guarantee that by the end of the deck, it's going to be way off. So here's the King of Wands, and like, look at that. Like, that's all I could see when I first opened the deck, and it took away from my enjoyment of the artwork at first, because I'm, you know, concerned that is the creator going to help me here? You know, am I going to get another deck? Do I have to return this? Oh my gosh, this came from Russia. So yeah, it was a little bit disconcerting when I first opened the deck. So I did go through it, and I have contacted the creator, and I have to say I was disappointed in the response in the beginning. It was kind of a little bit of a, like, I had to convince the creator that this was a problem. Like, at first glance, as a creator, if I were to create a tarot deck, I would immediately say, no, that's absolutely unacceptable. And you know what the problem is? I also like to trim my decks if there's like too much border, but I actually like these borders. I think they fit really well. They encapsulate the image because they are old Victorian style sketch drawings, I guess. I know there's another word for it. If you know the word, you know, mention that down below in the comments. But the problem is I can't cut it. I can't trim it because you see these are already off already, right? So this one's like kind of almost center, and this one's a little bit further down, this line here. So, and this is the side I would need to cut, right? So if I trimmed it on this side and left it on this side, then the line would be even further down. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, the line would be like this, and how annoying would that be to look at for the backs, where the line is like way down? So that's not an option. And I ended up getting a discount on another deck. So as opposed to like shipping this back, which would have been like $25 to ship it back to Russia, and then if it even gets there, and then having to wait another 3-4 weeks for another deck, I'm just like, all right, just, you know, give me a really good deal on another deck. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I might rehome it at a, you know, really good price or something like that. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I do really like the cardstock. I do really like the imagery, and I'm really hoping that this second deck will come to me just fine, so I can breathe a sigh of relief, because I really do like it. You know, I've had issues with other decks, and I've contacted the creator, and a couple times they've sent me an entirely new deck free of charge, no shipping, nothing. And that's what I'm talking about. That is good customer service. And you know, I'm part of many Facebook groups, and you know, we share this information with each other, and it's really important that creators understand, you know, what we expect and what we hope to receive, because these are really important pieces of our daily routine of our lives. You know, we connect with the energies of these decks so strongly, and they become almost like friends to us, and confidants and comforts. So, you know, we do have super high standards, and we pay out of the butt for these decks, you know, some of these indie decks. So quality should really be there, and I think that that's okay to kind of have that kind of standard as a consumer, because we not only do we spend money on these decks, but we have a lot of them, right? And sometimes we buy backups of these decks, so they're getting multiple purchases from the same people, especially if they come out with second or third editions. There's some people who have every single edition of one deck, so it's not like you're tapping, you know, different people. You want to please those same people, right? That really just put a poor taste in my mouth. And I know a lot of people who, if they had a bad situation happen with a creator, or you know, they were treated poorly, like that turns them off completely from that deck and from any other decks that creator might produce, because of the energy that they now associate with that artwork. And creators need to understand that, and they also need to understand that we communicate with each other. So, you know, it does come back, you know, to them in that way. So let's kind of flip through this a little bit. So here's, I'm going to flip this around, the Fool, the Magician, and you see his tools here. You know, I really haven't found the cup yet. I'm not sure if that's in his hand or what, but I just fell in love with this artwork. And you know, I had seen it before. I had seen this artwork before. Love that. This actually reminds me of another image in the second Revival Art Studios. I think it was like the Eight of Cups or something. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was a very similar in color, amazing image of a nun in a convent. So here we have the Empress. But I had seen these images before. Sorry, we're not in frame. And I don't know what it was at the time. It's so interesting. It's like you have an ISO list, an in search of list that you develop, and then like even as short as a few months later, you're not into it anymore, or you weren't at first glance, but then it becomes something that you think you want or you need in your collection. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. And I do enjoy decks that have, you know, antique type artwork, but I also love collage decks, and this kind of hits both of those in one, because you have the sword, and there's going to be in the minors the wands, the pentacles. Those are all superimposed upon this artwork. Love that. The wheel. And some of these are clearer than others. Oh, I forgot to mention, the creator has given the choice to put Justice and Strength at either 8 or 11. So you can take one of these out. And my preference is to have Justice at 8 and Strength at 11, and that's what I'll do. So for those of you who are new to tarot and who have heard of, like, what's the big deal? So let me go ahead and show you. What's the big deal about strength and justice being in a different spot? To me, I don't really need, as you can see here, I don't really need my majors to be numbered. It helps when you put them back together, but for me, this path along the hero's journey is not linear. It's kind of like you hit a milestone and then you go back a few steps, and then you touch on it. It depends on what happens in your life to strengthen you in those ways. But I do prefer, if I have to choose, to have Justice at 8, because I feel that the external environment that that people grow and learn from is a greater force to change you inside than being I don't want to say greater force, but at the beginning of your journey, it's a stronger force to have to cause change within you. Then you internalize that change, and it manifests from within, right? So if you think of Justice, that's something that happened to you externally. So now you have to figure out, how am I going to react in the face of this difficulty, right? And then you learn in the future, if anything like that were to happen, you can recall what happened to you in real life and the obstacles that you overcame, so that strength has become internalized, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. So you're stronger in the end, but sometimes it has to come from a learning experience first. So that's why I put that at 8. Now this is a pretty strong Hanged Man. And they are, all of them in the Tarocco Studios decks that I've seen, the Revival Art 1 and 2, and this one, is very, they have a commanding presence. Love this death card. Love it, love it, love it. Love the darkness in the background. Beautiful, beautiful. Like, just stunning. The devil, awesome. And look at these people playing in the background. Can you see that? And these people jumping from the building. Awesome. So let's go through the majors and I'll just touch on the minors a little bit. Here's the star. You can kind of make out the star here, but you have the water. Love this moon hiding behind the trees. Like, what's really there? And I did ask about this dot on the sun, which like kind of annoys me because it shouldn't be there. But then he pointed out there's like, you know, spots here and there on the imagery, like right there, that is just natural to it. But I know I've seen a walkthrough where that was not present, but you know, it can't be too picky. So I'm not even worrying about that. I'll just consider it a sunspot, right? Judgment, beautiful. And this one is a little like rough. It's a little pixelated. And you can tell like the difference in image quality and clarity. Like, can you tell the difference there? But again, I'm not gonna, that's not a huge concern. It's really like the big things, like the border and the cardstock. And I love the cardstock from Tarocco Studios. Okay, so here's the minor. So you can see that the pentacles have been superimposed on the image. Here we have the giving of the coins. Love this. Just awesome. We have our knight. And one of them, the page is on horseback too. I'll have to pull that out, which was interesting. Here's our queen and our king. Love it. Let me show you the ace of swords here. Coming, oh, we're into the cups. I feel like this should have had like some text or something, but that's okay. I do love the opulence of these cups. And Tarocco Studios does a fantastic job of selecting their artwork. Okay, one more thing. How many cups are in this picture? Do you see 9? Because I do. And I counted it like 4 times. No, there are 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I'm wrong and I'm seeing double, please let me know. So here's the Page of Cups holding his cup. And I don't care about that either. I'm willing to get over that. Here's our king. Let's show you the queen. Aw. I love when they face each other. I love the directionality that's possible there, because I do read Lenormand and it is nice to have that option. Beautiful. Ace of Swords. I do love this 3 of Swords. Like, look at this poor bird. And I love the shape of her hat. It's just a beautiful image. Love it. Our 7 of Swords. He's not having it. 10 of Swords. Okay, so here's the page on horseback. And here's the knight. Right, I just thought just now, like, he's like yelling at the page and he's all mad. He's like, "You're stealing my thunder, get off the horse. I'm the only one who's supposed to be on horseback in this suit." All right, enough of that. And love this queen. All right, let's get to the wands. It almost feels like fingerprints, right? Does that feel like that to you? There's our 2, 3. I don't see any. Oh, I do. Yep, there's ships right there. Awesome. I wonder if that was superimposed. our Four of Wands with the celebration, Six of Wands with the triumph, Eight of Wands, pretty traditional, Nine of Wands, taking a break from the action but ready to go back in, our Page. And I know, you know, with this type of artwork, you're really limited to, oh, she's great. She's great. Like, I would want to be her friend. You have limited options here. So I would say that these two are the worst offenders as far as the border, but you know, it's like, and that's not even as bad, but yeah, it's a thing. So there's that. So next is the Wandering Star Tarot, and it's a really beautiful box. I did have a little bit of, and this is a, let me just say, a birthday tarot hit, right? So the miss with the borders and the experience that I had so far, and this was a hit, and I'll tell you why. Because I did have some damage to the box, as you can see, right there and right there. Like it's like a divot, like a deep divot, and like a kind of a smashed corner. Cat Pierce was so accommodating to what was going on with, or you know, I just wanted her to know. I wasn't even asking for a replacement box. I just wanted her to know that, you know, maybe you could fold over the priority padded envelope so that it's not kind of moving around inside the bag. They still ship it fine like that, and then it gives it a little bit more stability. And it was just kind of like a thank you so much, just here's a thought kind of email. And she's like, I'll send you a new box, you know. And so she's like, send me some pics of the damage. And then I did, and she said she was going to send me a new box. So that was pretty awesome. Here's the guidebook, and I'll put that aside. There's a nice foam padding inside. It is loose, so I may want to like glue that down. I did that with my relative tarot and oracle box because it was a similar thing with the insert kind of being loose, and I just glued it down and it was fine. So here's the inside of the box. It's so beautiful. What does it say? There is a universe inside you, and it says that again on the bottom. Really clean box on the back. There's some images, the Wandering Star. So like, how awesome would that look on your bookshelf? So here's the deck. Here are the backs. It's so pretty. And here are the gilded edges. So with this deck, I riffle shuffled it a couple times, and once I did, I noticed this. That was a Fool card, and can you see how like the gilding just completely got stripped from it? So what happened was the Fool and the Magician were kind of stuck together, and that's how that happened when I went to riffle shuffle it. Can you see it like sticking out of the Magician card right there? I asked Kat if she would mind replacing this Fool card for me, and she had absolutely no problem. So that's great customer service. She was responsive. She emailed me back right away. She didn't give me any problems. And that's what I want to highlight here, is that even if, you know, things happen, you know, and I wish creators would understand how appreciative we are as a community. We're not, yes, we have high standards, but we're not unreasonable people. So when things go wrong with a deck, just getting back to us and not ghosting us or not giving us a hard time and making it right, because this is in the end a product that we kind of want to have in good condition for as long as we can, especially with how often decks are bought and sold and rehomed. It's really important that they maintain their quality for some period of time. You know, with excessive use, you're going to get wear no matter what. But after a few shovels, it happened. I know why. It's because, you know, and I'm sure that's not going to happen with everyone, but she was more than willing, and I'm, you know, completely grateful to her for that. So let's take a look at the guidebook. There's some spreads, a little bit. It's great for beginners in the way because it has keywords, and I think that, you know, she's taking that to mind in making this so that it'll be accessible to both beginners and seasoned readers who don't always want huge keywords slapped on their decks, but it's kind of nice to have sometimes. So you have a nice color little image here, and a bit of information about what we're seeing, and then there's a quote, which is kind of cool. And I'm not sure if the quotes always correspond to what we're seeing in the image, like the choice of the author of the quote. But there's some animals in there, and then we get to the end. Let's see if we can get to the end. And there's a place for notes. So that's pretty cool. I know there's a few walkthroughs of this already, and I have done a reading with this, and I really enjoy the artwork. I love how so as you can see here, power, action, skill, power, action. So some of them are repeated, some of the keywords along the edges here, and some of them are not, but it's fine. But love the skulls, and there's eyes everywhere in these cards. Luxury, beauty, harmony, abundance, grace, fertility, love, nature, beauty, art. So beauty is pretty much the only one that was repeated here. And it's diverse. And it's got the number down here, but wait. So as you can see, they're all numbered. I noticed this today as I was putting this back in order. The Hierophant. The Lovers doesn't have a number, and that's the only one in the entire deck, except for the Quartz. So I thought that was interesting. Not that it matters, because I know what it is. I love all the embellishments, and I do enjoy that they're facing you, kind of like the Touchstone Tarot. And I've mentioned that in a previous video, that I like that they're looking at you, because it's engaging you, it's asking you how you feel about that particular energy. Karma, destiny, karma, destiny. You know, I would have liked choice and time to be part of the keywords, but that's okay. Justice is at 11, which means strength is at 8. The Hanged Man. Let's turn her upside down. So cute. It's so interesting when I turn it upside down. Like, some of them are like really distorted. Temperance. I love this devil. I love her little mask. The Tower. You know, and it's interesting to think about what type of energy each deck kind of brings. Like, some of them are really easy to pinpoint. Some of them are like, you bring out your inner child. And I kind of feel like this sort of does, but it definitely borders on childlike and sophisticated at the same time. And there are 2 extra cards in this deck. Only picture, I believe, in the entire deck that contains nudity. So we have the Mother Star and the Creator as a yes and no. And this talks about the power of saying yes and the power of saying no. So this is not a negative card. It's just about like creating boundaries and, you know, enforcing the sovereignty of your own individualism. So I really do enjoy that as well. So some of them like are pretty, I don't want to say simple, but I love this 3 of Wands. I love that she's looking out into the future. You know, you have the keywords and you have the person to look at for your intuitive hits. Here's your 5 of Wands. So there's only a few cards that draw in the animal element by themselves, and the rest of them are pretty much all people. Very much highlighting the female element. She's like on fire. Hilarious. I love her leggings. And it's kind of like a halo, and I kind of do enjoy that. Like, not all the knights are, one of them's on horseback, and there's another one that's a unicorn, I believe, or is a horse. So there's not that definitive consistency there as far as how each one is portrayed, but that's okay. It has a soft energy about it, this deck. It's colorful, and it's oh, and the cardstock is this lovely matte finish. It's really pretty, really nice to handle. I love that the keywords are in her skirt. But I feel like the readings that I've done so far with this were matter of fact. Like, you see that they're just kind of looking at you, and they don't all have a smile or a frown, but it's offering you these messages. I really like this one too. I like the half of the face close up like that. It offers you the messages you need to hear peacefully and non-confrontationally. So so she's on horseback. Ace of Pentacles. We don't have that second individual here, but that's okay. 6. Busy as a bee, working, toiling along. The 9. So as you can tell, like, you know, she appears, she's in the position that she should be in for the 9 of Pentacles, but again, the facial expression is very matter of fact. Page, yeah. So here's the 10. Page, here's our horse, yeah, our knight. Queen and King. So that is the Wandering Star Tarot. The Way of Tarot, The Spiritual Teacher in the Cards by Alejandro. So I got this one for my birthday as well. And I'm really excited to dive into Marseille. So I have been with the other book that I'm going to show you. This book is really, it goes in depth, and it talks about directionality. It talks about all of the symbolism that correspond throughout the deck and throughout the suits. So let's see if I can find it. Yes, I did. I found it. So it talks about how in Marseille, at least for this deck, the knights are kind of the ones that carry the suit into the next suit. So it's the energy of progression. So as you can see, the Knight of Pentacles is carrying the energy into the Knight of Wands, and it kind of goes in a circle, right? So there's definitely that forward movement, but it's not particular in Marseille that the king is the end of the road as far as the suit is concerned. So I thought that was really interesting. And I also like how Jodorowsky does his If the Card Could Talk section in a reading, and If the Star Spoke. So for example, it says for the star, in the infinite multiplicity of beings and things, I have found my place in the world and in myself, for it is the same thing. I no longer need to keep looking. I no longer hold any image of myself. I am in my rightful place. Here and everywhere I am attached by my very own choice. I am in every particle of dust, in every territory, in every waterway, every star, and every part of my body. And how could I not respect the world and my bones and my flesh? All of this matter does not belong to me. It has only been lent me for no more than a fragment of time, and I respect it, for it is my temple, the one in which the unthinkable God resides. The mind is matter, and matter is mind. The universe is perpetually being born and bursting, and at its center, there where I kneel, I am. I mean, that's amazing, stunning, beautiful. And what I like also is that it tips the reader, oh, I can't find it, about the imagery. So it highlights certain elements of the card and it tells you what you're looking at, and I really like that as well. So that was just a quick little discussion on that. Let me show you the deck itself. I got this. It's a bit smaller than standard tarot size, and it's got these hugely bold colors, and I know that everything has meaning. The way that the floral pattern is curling in matters, the colors matter, you know, even like how many petals each one of these pentacles has matters, because they're not all the same. If you count them, they're not all the same. I want to put this card aside and show you my next deck. Some of the things that he changed, like he added like a tail to this boy in the sun card. He added an egg into the High Priestess card. He made several changes. But I do like the boldness of the coloration. I know that he talks about the tower a little bit differently. So even like this, the 10 of Cups, that is the symbol of the Pentacles. So that has meaning as well. As I was mentioning, how each card kind of carries over, or each suit carries over into the other suit, and they all interlink, and it's really fascinating. So here in the King, you see that he's holding his pentacle, but he also has a pentacle in the air that he's looking at, but that's not so in the CBD, and I'll show you that in a second. And then in another deck that I have, the king is not holding a pentacle, but there is one in the air. So it's really fascinating. Like if you think about the symbology of what the king is supposed to represent, as far as like attainment, having not searching anymore, but having it, but this could possibly be interpreted as always having money on his mind type of thing. Like his decisions are based on that. So of course now I can't find the High Priestess. Let me just give me one more second and see if I can find it. Here she is. La Papesse. So as you can see, there's a little egg there, but that's not present in any of the other Marseille decks that I know of. So there's meaning behind how many lines are on the scroll, the crosses here. There's just so much meaning, like how the top of her hat is touching the edge, the border here. So this is about gestation and, you know, going within and stuff like that. So really fascinating. I also wanted to show you the Spanish tarot that I have. And I'll pull that aside here. And how different it can be. Oh, and I mentioned that king. So here's the Spanish tarot. And the king isn't holding that pentacle, as I mentioned, but it's still in the air. So they all kind of are a little bit different. So I wanted to show you this one. And I'm going to show you a different one in the Tarot de Aux Arcs, I believe you pronounce it. So I'll show you a little bit of this deck as well. Here are the backs, and this one is also quite smaller than traditional tarot size. I love the coloration of this deck. I love the brightness of the pentacles. I love the redness of the cups. I love that. I love their faces, even though they're a little bit darker than the original Spanish tarot. I don't mind it. It's so cool. So, and in the 10, in the Jodorowsky, the cup is facing to the left. So there's variations. I love the green here for the wands. There's variations in each of the decks that you're going to get, but it's important to have a foundation as to what they're supposed to mean. And then you can kind of transfer that in your own mind. Here is my Tarot de Aux Arcs. And I had this bag made to complement the backs. So here's that 8 of... Let me get rid of the bag. 8 of Cups. So as you can tell, each one is a little bit different. Let me read to you a little bit about what the 8 of Cups says in the Marseille Tarot Revealed. So in the RWS, the 8 of Cups is about leaving or abandonment or leaving behind what no longer serves, or something that in your life. It's different than the 6 of Swords where there's turmoil there. The 8 of Cups is more like following your bliss. Even though what you have is okay, you want more and you want a fulfilled life, that sort of thing. So this is by Yoav Ben Dov, and it's also a terrific resource. This is what I got before the Jodorowsky deck. So in this one, what I really like is that it does have a section for each of the minors. And the minors are really, in Marseille, where I struggle the most. So in the 8 of Cups, it's the keyword is involvement. And this doesn't even have to be exactly how you interpret it, but at least for this deck, that's how it's interpreted. So let's read it. The emotional touch of the suit of cups constructs the number 8 as 6 + 2, more flexible and rich in combinations than the mechanistic and uniform 4 × 2 of the coins. The card shows a pair of cups between 2 rows of 3 above and below it. The plant decorations show a focused center and emphasize both the pairing of the 2 and their integration with the other 6. So the interpretation is involvement of relatives and friends in a relationship or life of a couple. So here's the couple and here's the involvement of the others. And you can see that the plants kind of touch on all of them. So they're all kind of interconnected here. An extended family, many people interacting and interfering, a feast with friends or a family celebration. In the inverse is lack of privacy, pressures from family or a social environment. So as you can see, the decorations here, there's like a really strong flower in the center and everything is interconnected. So that's quite a different interpretation than the Rider-Waite-Smith. So if you look, this one doesn't, this Tarot de Aux Arcs does not have the floral decorations, and which can completely alter your interpretation of this card. So it's important that, for me, I love this deck so much, and I'll show you a little bit about that in a little bit, but it's important for me that I kind of get the basics first, and I understand some of the floral patterns and what that means, and then kind of move into an intuitive deck like this, which I have done readings, and I have received powerful readings from this deck, particularly because of the coloration. So it does offer a different connotation here. So for this card, let's say you might look at where the red patterns are on the cups or in the cups, and which ones are missing. So you could assign meaning for several people in your life where, you know, some of that activity, that fire, that heart is missing a little bit. Some of it's growing, some of it's completely full, that sort of thing. So it definitely offers you a little bit to chew on there as far as interpretation. So I'm going to put these aside, and I'll show you a little bit of this deck for a Marseille style deck. It's not a Marseille deck. So this is the second edition. The first edition had red backs with this like gold star type pattern. Some people said it seemed a little bit like Christmas wrapping paper. I do prefer this deck and the backings of this deck. I think the first one may have had a copyright and this one does not, but I feel like the pattern here and the style of the flower here with the white outline kind of matches the deck a little bit more. Some people are not really too hot with that peachy orange color, but I kind of like it. I don't mind it at all. So again, as I said, this one definitely offers you some interpretation. So if you were to draw like these three cards, right, you might interpret it as the devil is the focus here, right, with as much red as there is in that deck. And then you would bring in the idea of 8 cups. So you have 3, 2, and 3. So if you were to try and stack these, would they actually stay together, or would they stay together better in a different configuration? You can bring in the red in the King of Swords, right? Look at that red shooting through his sword here. So what is in his mind? What is it in his intellect that has to do with shadow and the devil and vice and heart and family and interconnection? So you can totally pull that together in that way with color, and I really love that about this deck. I did not think I was going to like it as much, because like the browns here, you could do that because of how I felt it as being quite messy, but I think that adds to it. And I really would recommend this deck to people who are looking to expand their intuitive capacity. So you have the same colored background here, right? And then you kind of have these wands, and these appear like wands here as well. You could pull in the red on the Queen of Batons here, right here, what that could mean regarding the roses in the cups. So this almost feels like an inverse coloration, right? So maybe it could be the intuitive hit would be to just reverse what you think you need to do. So this Ace of Pentacles, it's white here. So what is it in the center that needs clarification, or that needs exposure or purity, or, you know, a cleaning out process? Like, what do you assign the color white to? There's green there in that inside, or that bigger inside cup here. So in other Marseille, this is the same size, I want to say, I believe. But this being green and this being bigger than the other 4, what does that say to you? So let's say, you know, this is a bluish color, but you kind of see a similar feeling there of this bigger cup almost needing to be released and that sort of thing. So there's just so much beauty to be had. Like, do you see what I mean? Like the white outline here and the white outline there, here. Do you see that? I feel like the backs really kind of match that. So here's green and here's green. So it draws you into that. The background color here. And this one feels, so 4 and then 3, right? Normally you might see the 1 and then the 2 beneath it. So it's like pointing you from the temporal material world into the spiritual world. 3 being spiritual, 4 being of like the earth. So this is all about growth. So you could think about this card as growth in spirituality. Here's another card with a lot of red, a lot of browns. It's great. So I highly recommend this deck as well. And that is the Tarot de Aux Arcs. The main event is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot and the Spacious Tarot as a pairing. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this off screen and then I'll be right back. So I've taken the wrapping off and we're gonna take a look on the inside. And right away, you're just greeted with beautiful artwork, a beautiful message. And I'm sure you've seen other walkthroughs, so I'm not going to. You can pause it if you want to read that. This is like a mix between hardcover and paperback. It's really, really nice. Look at that. So I'm really excited to kind of get into this one. And they do have keywords, or at least here, showing you what you're looking at in the card. And from the walkthroughs I've seen so far, this is going to be a powerful, powerful deck. I'm really excited about it. What's interesting is that the major arcana is reversed. So it starts at the World and ends at the Fool, as far as numbering. So it comes with a little bag, which is awesome. You don't often, get that. And beautiful inside of the box as well. So it's kind of like a burlap string here. Let's get to the cards. Wow, beautiful. Definitely will be keeping it in that bag. So right away I see a little bit of damage to the cards, like right there, if you can see that. Let's take a look at the rest of it. It's got this plastic little sleeve, which can sometimes be problematic with how it like digs into the card sometimes, like that. Can you see that? A little bit of a bend right there. And I'm not too concerned about that. I am a little bit concerned about the peeling here. It's like a roll in the card itself. Okay, so it's a beautiful matte finish. Let's go ahead and get standard tarot card size and compare. As you can see, it's almost oracle size. Which I knew going in, which is fine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open up the Spacious Tarot and just kind of see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the Spacious Tarot a little bit and then see what combinations we end up with. See, even right away, let's zoom in a little bit. You can tell they are going to go together so well. Ace of Air and the Moon. Now, in the walkthroughs, I kind of hadn't seen anyone mention that these remind me of lungs, don't they? Like the structure of lungs, the alveoli, that sort of thing, and just the earth breathing, like how we breathe. So I really, really enjoyed that. And the reason why I thought these would make a good pairing is because of the simplicity that I see in the imagery. And they both have great cardstock, very matte, beautiful. So the Five of Air and the Explorer of Swords. So you see here, as opposed to the shadow aspect of the Five of Swords, where you have that fighting, the domination and the winning of battles, that sort of thing. You have here, there's the challenge here with the storm, but you have her, this mother, rising to the task of caring for her young. And then you have the Explorer of Swords, who's like the knight, and, you know, taking action on the things that need to be taken care of. And that's really, really, really good match. So here's, let me just show you the backs. Didn't get to do that. And the backs of the Spacious Tarot. So these are going to make a great pairing. And again, I haven't gone through the Witch's Wisdom Tarot because I just got it. But look, the air, the space, the beautiful flowers and growth that's happening on the ground, being connected to the earth and the air. Now, if I shuffled this, it might offer a little bit better of a pairing here, like the Ten of Air and the Nine of Swords. Both elements coming down, and this is like all about flight and following the crowd, but being an individual within the crowd. So I'm excited to play with this and see how this works out. This card is a little bit strange for me as it being a spider, but also a woman in a dress. So I thought that was interesting. Seeing it, you know, face to face, it seems less awkward, but I still like it. So let's go through a few more here so you can just see how they interact visually. Look at this Two of Fire and the Ace of Swords. Three of Fire and the Three of Cups, and this one's leading you down a path, so you could make the connection that getting together with community, with friends, and celebrating each other will lead you down into the future, into something new and exciting. I love the write-up for this card about what do you see? Is there like the autumn leaves, or is the tree on fire? What do you choose to see? So again, I'm excited to get started, and when I do, I will let you know. So thank you for joining me today for my birthday tarot hits and misses. If you found benefit in this content, please go ahead and hit a like or subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for upcoming videos, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.